Have you considered the full cost of moving to a new country for physiotherapy? I thought I had, but as I went further along the process, I started to realize that things were a lot different to my original expectations. So I just want to lay it all out for you and give you a clear estimated cost as to how much you can expect to pay for visas, physio registration, and some other hidden costs. A quick note is that I'll be using Australian dollars in this video, and if you want to use pounds, you basically just halve the amount. The first thing on the list is the uni processing fee. And as I explained in the process video of moving to the UK as a physio from Australia, you need to do this fee to show the curriculum you've been through and that you pass the standards that they require in England. And so that's $132. It's really just an admin fee for your uni to collect all this information and send it to you in a document. The next is what's called the HCPC scrutiny fee. It's $1,247.64, and that's for the UK to process your application of all your documentation to make sure you pass the relevant levels, your testimonial is up to date, all your accreditation is relevant and has actually been approved, and then you can practice in the UK. The next one's an absolute kicker, and it's the NHS surcharge. This one is probably the biggest expense of the lot, and it's $2,089 per year. Now the key thing is you have to pay this up front, and so if you're on a 2-year visa like the youth mobility visa, you'll be paying $4,178. But if you're on a 5-year visa, you have to pay $10,445 up front. It doesn't matter if you end up returning after 3 years, they take the full length of the visa right up front. So you really want to consider this, A, when you're determining which visa you're going to go for, and B, how long you're going to stay for within that visa time limit, because it really does make a critical impact. The next is the UK visa processing fee. Again, that's just to process all the documents you've submitted to register for your visa. Again, go check out the eligibility criteria as to which documents you need, and that's $1,285. The next one's quite a minor one, and it's just with the biometric resident permit. They hold onto your passport for a week or two to get the sticker put in there, but the cost of going back into the place and the time that it costs you for only $33, it's not worth it. So you end up just getting it posted back to you. But I just want to showcase all the fees because sometimes things like this add up when there's lots of them, and a lot of these go hidden. So just to give you a full picture of what you're getting signed up for. The next one's with the physio body. So you've got the HCPC membership. That runs on a 2-year billing cycle. So it's $228 per year or $456 for the 2 years. If you come in halfway through their billing cycle, you'll just pay the pro rata equivalent of however long is left in the billing cycle. And then there's the CSP membership, which is like the APA. It's just the physio members body. It's $76 per month or $912 for the full year. Now, pretty much all private practices will require you to have this. Because I didn't go into the hospital system, I'm not sure if it's mandatory, so just check out a few job kind of applications and see if it is on the list of things that you need. But again, that can be done down the track when you're already in the country. So that's kind of your visas, your processing fees, your documentation for your physio bodies. Of course, you're going to have the common costs when you travel. So flights, passport if you don't have one, you're going to need some travel insurance probably. But finally, what about when you're actually in the country? How expensive is it to live there? And I've documented everything so I can showcase that for you now. Per week at the start, when I was just staying in a room of an Airbnb, so had my own room, it was a shared kitchen, paying for groceries, paying for transport, not doing anything extravagant. Socially, I didn't really know anyone at the time, and I was spending $900 to $1,000 a week. One of the biggest savers is going to be if you can lock in long-term accommodation. The only caveat to that is that some landlords will charge 3 to 6 months rent up front, and particularly if you don't have a job with a steady income stream, they're more likely to charge you that because of the risk they're taking in letting you be in their apartment or house. Of course, depending on where you live in the country, pricing will vary a lot. So London going to be the most expensive. And for the transport side of things, the tube is quite cheap in London, but trains across England are very expensive. You can save a little bit of money with things like a rail card depending on your age bracket or your circumstances. But in general, trains are still going to be extremely expensive compared to Australia. So that's kind of all the costs. Let's do a little comparison between where we've come to see the UK versus Australia. So the cost of the professional bodies is quite similar. The cost of physio membership is almost double in the UK. But I do have one thing I'm not 100% sure about, and that is that in the first 3 years of the APA membership, it's actually subsidised for the new graduates. And so I wonder if you've been trained in the UK, whether there's any equivalent of that for UK members. And so if anyone has been UK trained, let us know down in the comments whether you get any discount on any of these fees compared to someone from Australia coming into the country. And then finally, the cost for the initial application. Unsurprisingly, it is a lot more because they're having to go through a huge amount of more documentation compared to if you've gone to the uni in the country. They've already essentially approved that accreditation. Otherwise, the uni wouldn't be running the course. So it's really just security checks when it's in your own country, whereas there's all these other things they need to check off when you're going to a new country. Maybe this was a shock for you. Maybe this is what you expected. But if you want a good idea of the process you need to follow if you're thinking about coming to the UK as a physio, then watch this video here.